They called her a gold digger. They didn't shout it. They didn't say it where she could hear. But she felt it. In the way they whispered behind her. In the way they looked at her, eyes small, lips tight, like they had already decided who she was. But Kamsi didn't stop. She didn't look down. She didn't even blink. She walked with her head high, her heels clicking on the shiny floor like she didn't hear a word they said. Every step she took felt strong, like she was stepping on their words and crushing them flat. To them, she was trouble. A woman no one could understand. A woman people watched but never trusted. A mystery. A warning. A spark waiting to start a fire. But behind the strong walk, behind the perfect skin and beautiful face, there was something else. Something real. Something painful. A truth so deep it could break hearts and shut mouths. Yes, she used rich men. But nobody ever asked why. And when everything falls apart, when everyone turns their back on her, who will be there to ask how she's doing? Who will see the hurt she hides? Who will heal her? Stay tuned. Because Kamsi's story is just beginning. Before we go any further, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Kamsi was just 15 when her world fell apart. Her mother, Adan, had been her everything. Her strength. Her joy. Her only safe place after her rich father left them behind for a younger woman. That decision, his selfish walk out of their lives, left scars no one could see. But Kamsi saw them. Every day. Her mother still laughed, but it was a tired laugh. The kind that tried to hide too much pain. She worked herself to the bone, sewing clothes during the day, caring for the sick at night, just to make sure Kamsi had food on her plate. She looked strong on the outside, but Kamsi could see the cracks. Her body was tired, her spirit even more so. Then the sickness came. At first, it was just stomach pain. Small cramps, nothing too serious. But it didn't stop. In weeks, it got worse. She could barely walk. Every meal came back up. She could hardly stand straight anymore. Her body was breaking down. The doctors called it what it was, a perforated ulcer. Painful, but treatable, if you had money. They didn't. Kamsi ran from house to house, begging family members for help. She tried to reach her father. No one listened. Some shut their doors. Some looked away. And some, the distant relatives she trusted, gave her a different kind of offer, ugly, twisted words, come warm my bed first, then we'll talk. 15 years old. And the only thing people saw in her was what they could take. Her mother kept getting worse. Weaker. Until one night, with shaking hands and a heart full of fear, Kamsi carried her to the nearest clinic. She begged the nurses. Pleaded. Cried. That's when Dr. Obiora came out. He didn't even try to pretend he cared. We need money first, young lady. Life later, he said. Cold. Empty. Then his eyes shifted. He looked at her, not like a child, not like someone begging to save her mother, but like something else. His voice dropped. Or, he said, you can pay. Differently. See me in my office if you want. Kamsi didn't say a word. She just took her mother home that night, holding her like a baby. Her arms shook under the weight, though her mother had become so small, so light. By morning, Adan was gone. Something broke inside Kamsi that day, the soft, the innocent scattered. But in that empty space, something else woke up. Something harder. Something colder. When the news spread, the same family that had turned their backs came crawling out of the shadows. Cousins, uncles, aunties, all suddenly remembered they were blood. They brought wrappers, food, chairs. They acted busy, made speeches, shed loud tears like they had been there all along. Even her father came. He arrived in a black SUV, wearing designer sunglasses, holding his new wife's hand. When he stepped out, people whispered and nodded. That's her father. He walked to the front of the church and made a fat donation, his voice clear and full of pride. He called Adan a strong woman, like he hadn't left her to break alone. After the service, Kamsi walked up to him. Her voice was small. Can I come with you? He looked at her for a long time, like he was searching for an answer in her face. Then he sighed. I'll have discuss it my wife and kids, he said. I'll send for you later. She nodded. That was all she could do. After the funeral, they all left. The chairs were packed. The food was gone. The wrappers were folded and taken home. The church went quiet. And Kamsi? Kamsi was left with nothing. No money. No family. No promises kept. Just silence. So, Kamsi picked herself up and tried to continue from where her mother had stopped. She didn't dream anymore. She just survived. She cleaned houses. She washed plates in restaurants. She served in hotels and hawked pure water by the roadside. Each job barely paid enough to eat, but she held on. Yet inside, something bitter began to grow. A quiet anger. The world wasn't fair. It smiled at the rich and stepped on the poor. And Kamsi was tired of being stepped on. At 17, everything changed. She was working late at a hotel bar when a man in a white agbada walked in, smelling of money and power. Senator Duke they called him. He was older, at least in his 50s, but he smiled like he owned the world. And when he touched her hand, soft and slow, Kamsi knew he wasn't just being kind. That night, when he offered her a ride home, she said yes. It wasn't a love story. He used her youth, her hunger, her loneliness. But she paid attention. She listened when he spoke on the phone. Learned the names he dropped, the places he went, the things that made him feel important. She told herself she would never end up like her mother, broken, begging, forgotten. So she studied. She learned what rich men liked, the way they dressed, the brands they drank, the lies they believed. She learned to walk in heels and speak with poise. She learned silence was power, and attention was currency. And slowly, Kamsi became a woman of many faces. With Senator Duke, she played the sweet, grateful girl. He gave her a small apartment, and she used it to entertain his friends when he needed to impress someone. But behind the smiles, Kamsi was watching. Listening. She copied his contacts, recorded his business talks, and used the information to blackmail one of his rivals, quietly, cleanly. The money came quickly. From another man, a businessman from Abuja, she became the perfect hostess. She laughed at all his jokes, stood beside him at parties, and when he trusted her enough, she convinced him to invest in a fake real estate deal. She disappeared before he even knew her real name. By 20, Kamsi had a penthouse in Lekki and her own business front, a luxury spa that doubled as a private lounge for the wealthy. Politicians came there to relax. Big men came to hide. She made sure everyone felt safe. And in return, they paid her to stay quiet. She had built her empire out of charm, silence, and secrets. And she didn't owe anyone a single explanation. By 23, Kamsi was everywhere. Her pictures flooded gossip blogs, lounging on yachts in silk robes, stepping out of black cars at charity galas, always in designer gowns with flawless skin and unreadable eyes. Everyone wanted to know who she was. Everyone wanted to be her. But what they didn't know was that Kamsi kept a notebook. A secret book. One only she knew about. Every naira she collected, every gift, every transfer, every necklace dropped into her lap, had a purpose. Some paid for surgeries for sick children in rundown hospitals. Some bought food and shelter for widows who had nothing. Some sent girls to school so they wouldn't have to do what she did to survive. She wasn't just taking from the rich. She was robbing them to heal the broken. And she was good at it. But they called her all kinds of names. Socialite. Mystery woman. Queen of the elite underground. None of them knew her. Not the senators. Not the businessmen. Not even the girls who followed her online, copying her style, guessing her next move. She wore many faces, but they never saw the one underneath. Then came Femi. He wasn't like the others. Femi was young. Quiet. Kind. A tech billionaire who built things with his mind, not with other people's pain. He had soft eyes and a gentle heart. No wife. No scandal. No darkness behind his smile. And when he looked at her, really looked, he didn't see the mask. He saw her. He brought her books instead of bags. Told her stories instead of sweet lies. He didn't want her body, he wanted her time, her thoughts, her truth. And slowly, without meaning to, Kamsi began to let her walls fall. She laughed again. Not the practiced, charming laugh she used at parties, but the real one. The laugh she thought she had buried with her mother. She almost believed she could have something real. Then Femi asked her to move in with him. And Kamsi vanished. She didn't call. Didn't text. She just disappeared. She told herself it was to protect him. That a man like Femi didn't belong in her world. But the truth? She was terrified. Terrified of being known. Terrified of being loved. Terrified that if he found out about Chief Ofor, the powerful man she was tied to, he wouldn't survive it. Chief Ofor was dangerous. Ruthless. Married and untouchable. He owned people. He destroyed lives. And Kamsi had gotten in too deep. Femi was light. Chief Ofor was shadow. And she was trapped in the space between. Chief Ofor was different. He wasn't just rich, he was dangerous. A man with quiet power that made rooms fall silent when he entered. The first time Kamsi met him was at a private fundraiser. The air around him felt cold. Heavy. But she smiled. She played along. For the girls she had sent to school. For the sick children still waiting for medicine. Chief Ofor gave money freely. But he expected more in return. Obedience. Control. Silence. He didn't like to be told no. He wanted to own Kamsi like a pet. Not a woman, not a partner, something he could command. When she tried to leave him after 6 months, he didn't beg. He didn't plead. He simply smiled and showed her what he had. Photos. Voice recordings. Forged receipts. You belong to me now, he said. And just like that, she was trapped. But Kamsi hadn't come this far to kneel. Chief Ofor wasn't just powerful in the world of men, he was also feared in darker places. He belonged to an underground group. A secret club where money and spiritual power mixed. He was a grandmaster there. A man people whispered about but never challenged. One night, he looked at her and said, "For daring to leave me again, you won't walk for 3 months." She thought it was a threat. Just words. But weeks later, a strange sickness came. Her legs gave out. She couldn't move without pain. She was rushed to the hospital and stayed there for 3 months straight. Doctors couldn't explain it. Her body was weak, her spirit drained. The children she helped, those who still believed in her, prayed every night. The widows she once rescued fasted and cried to heaven for her healing. And slowly, she got better. So when she tried again to leave Chief Ofor, for love, for peace, for freedom, he didn't yell. He only whispered. "Your grave is already dug." Then the strange things began. A small fire started in her mansion's kitchen. Her car started smoking in the middle of traffic. Her driver pulled her out just in time. Kamsi had seen enough. She ran to the widows, women who had nothing, yet carried deep faith. She fell to her knees before them and wept like a child. And they surrounded her. They joined hands, raised their voices, and prayed. With fire. With tears. They sent every arrow of darkness back to the sender. Kamsi wasn't alone. Not anymore. Kamsi knew she couldn't keep running. Not from Chief Ofor. Not from herself. If she wanted to move forward, she had to open up, to tell the one person she truly trusted. So she called Femi. When he answered, the words came slowly. Her voice cracked. The truth poured out between long silences and quiet sobs. Everything she had hidden, everything she had done, she laid it bare. Femi didn't leave. He didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped closer. He and his tech team set a plan in motion. They gave Kamsi a pendant, a beautiful necklace, small and gold. But inside, it held a camera and a mic. She wore it every day. Slept with it. Laughed with it. Waited. Behind the scenes, Femi's team hacked Chief Ofor's accounts. What they found was darker than they expected: proof of human trafficking, bribery, stolen government funds. Everything needed to destroy him. But the night they were ready to leak the files, Kamsi went missing. She woke up in a dark warehouse. Her arms and legs tied to a chair. Her head pounding. Chief Ofor stood before her. "I warned you," he growled, eyes full of fire. But what he didn't know, what he never imagined, was that the pendant still worked. Every word he spoke was being broadcast live. Police were already on their way. Minutes later, the doors flew open. Flashlights, sirens, shouting. Chief Ofor was dragged out in handcuffs. His power collapsed in seconds. The media exploded. Kamsi the seductress. Black Widow of Lagos. Some called her a mastermind. Others called her wicked. They painted her as a woman who used beauty to destroy men. But then, the other stories began to surface. The surgeries. The scholarships. The rent paid. The hospitals saved. People were confused. Divided. Was she a hero? Or a con woman? Kamsi said nothing. She disappeared. No press. No interviews. Just silence. For a year, no one saw her. Until she came back quietly and opened a shelter for abused girls. She partnered with hospitals to give free treatment to the poor. No noise. No cameras. Just real work. Femi was still there. Still loving her. "You don't have to save the world alone," he told her one evening. And for the first time in a long time, Kamsi smiled. This time, it wasn't a mask. The end. If you love our stories, please subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like, share, and let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you for being part of this journey.
I love